My life didn't get quieter overnight. It didn't arrive all at once, like a sudden silence that fills a room without warning. It happened slowly, one visit at a time. At first, I didn't notice it, not really. The house still felt full. They would come in just like they always had, filling the space with their voices, their laughter, their presence. They would sit in the same places, move through the same rooms, and for a few hours, everything felt the way it used to. Like time hadn't moved forward at all, like nothing had changed. And then, just as quietly as they arrived, they would leave. At first, the silence that followed didn't feel permanent. It felt like a pause, like something temporary. I would clean up, put things back where they belonged, straighten pillows, wipe down counters. Small rituals that made it feel like everything was still in place, still normal. I told myself they would be back soon, that this was just part of life, that children grow up, move on, build their own lives, that this was what was supposed to happen, and I believed that, or at least, I tried to. But believing something and feeling it are not the same, because something had shifted and I didn't see it yet. The visits became less frequent, not in a way that makes you stop and question it, not all at once, just small changes, a missed weekend, a shorter stay, a quick visit instead of a long one, conversations that felt a little more rushed, a little more distracted, phones checked more often, eyes glancing at the clock, and slowly, the space between those visits grew. At first, I noticed the quiet. Then I started to feel it. At first, it almost felt peaceful, a kind of calm I wasn't used to. No noise, no chaos, no constant movement, just stillness. But that stillness didn't stay peaceful for long. Because quiet doesn't always mean peace. Sometimes, quiet means absence. At first, I tried to ignore it. I told myself it was nothing, just a phase, just a quiet day stretched a little too long. But it wasn't, because the silence didn't leave. It stayed. It followed me from room to room, sat with me in the mornings, lingered in the evenings. I would wake up and feel it before I even opened my eyes. That stillness, that heaviness, not loud, but present, always present. I started to notice how different everything felt, not just the house, but me, the way I moved through the day, the way time felt slower, longer, like there was more of it than I knew what to do with. I would find myself standing in the middle of a room, forgetting why I walked in, not because I was distracted, but because there was nowhere I needed to be. Nothing pulling me in one direction or another, and that was new. For so many years, my life had been full of purpose, of responsibility, of being needed. And now, there was space. Too much space. And I didn't know what to do with it, so I filled it the only way I knew how, with memories, with thoughts, with quiet reflections I had never given myself time for before. And that's when I started to realize this silence wasn't just around me. It was inside me too. I would walk through the house slowly, almost like I was searching for something I had lost. Every room held pieces of a life that had once been full, memories that were still there, but no longer happening. The couch where everyone used to gather felt too wide. The kitchen table felt too still. Even the walls felt different, like they were holding memories instead of life. I tried to keep everything the same. I didn't move things around. I didn't change the routine. Somehow, I thought if I kept everything exactly the way it was, it would all come back. But it didn't. And that's when it started to feel real. I would turn on the television sometimes, not to watch anything, but just to hear a voice. Something to break the silence. Something to make the space feel alive again. Sometimes I would leave it on in the background, just so it didn't feel like I was alone. But even then, it wasn't the same, because I was alone. And that was something I wasn't ready to admit. I missed the noise. I missed being needed. I missed the feeling of having a place that was always full, and more than anything, I missed the version of myself that existed in that life, because this version felt unfamiliar, empty in ways I didn't know how to fill. There were days I felt like I was just existing, moving from one moment to the next without direction, without purpose, just filling time. I would sit by the window sometimes, watching people pass by, wondering where they were going, what their lives looked like, if they felt the same way I did, if they ever sat in silence and questioned everything. And then one day, something shifted, not in a loud, dramatic way, not in a moment that changed everything all at once, but quietly, almost the same way the silence had arrived. I started to notice things I hadn't before. The quiet wasn't always empty. Sometimes it was calm. I began to hear things I hadn't heard in years, my own thoughts, my own voice, the rhythm of my own life, separate from everything and everyone else. And for the first time, I didn't try to fight it. I didn't try to fill it. I didn't try to escape it. I just sat with it. And something inside me began to settle. And maybe that's when I realized something I hadn't before. Maybe this wasn't something that had been taken from me. Maybe it was something I had been given, a space I didn't ask for, but now had the chance to understand, to rediscover parts of myself that had been quiet for so long, to learn who I was, outside of being everything to everyone else. And maybe that's why it felt so heavy, because the truth is, this feeling didn't start here. I'm in my 60s now. I had a normal childhood until I was 6. That's when everything changed. For 2 years, I lived with something I didn't understand, something I couldn't talk about, something I had to carry alone. I was used by people I trusted, used by the very people who were supposed to protect me. And from that moment on, something inside me learned what loneliness felt like, even in a full room, even surrounded by people. So when the house became quiet, it wasn't just quiet, it felt familiar, not new, not sudden, just something I had felt before, in a different way, at a different time. But this time, I'm not that child anymore. This time, I understand what I'm feeling. It didn't erase the loneliness completely. Some days are still heavy. Some days the silence still feels too loud, but it's different now, because I'm not just sitting in an empty house anymore. I'm learning how to live in it. There are still days when I sit with that quiet and don't know what to call it. Some days it feels like grief. Not the kind of grief people recognize right away, but the quiet kind. The kind that comes when a season of life ends and no one tells you how to live in the next one. I had spent so much of my life surviving, protecting, giving, loving, carrying, and trying to keep everything together. I did not realize how much of myself had been buried under all of that. And when the house became quiet, there was nowhere left to hide from myself. At first, that scared me, because I didn't know who I was without the noise, without the need, without someone calling my name, without a reason to keep moving from morning until night. But slowly, I began to understand that quiet does not always mean abandonment. Sometimes quiet is an invitation to listen, to remember, to grieve, to breathe, to become someone I never had time to become before. Maybe this empty space is not punishment. Maybe it is a doorway. Maybe it is asking me to stop running long enough to finally meet myself. And maybe, just maybe, this isn't the end of something. Maybe it's the beginning of something I never had time to see before.